Hi, my name is Paul Abernathy, and I'm the Manager of Codes and Standards here at Encore Wire Corporation. Many times people come to me and say, Paul, how do you strip your thin wall tray cable? Well, it's pretty simple. When you think of thin wall tray cable, you're really thinking of just a uniformed outside layer of PVC material. And this PVC material is uniformed all the way around the cable assembly. So this happens to be the tray cable, and it's as you can see here in the picture, it's a thin uniform wall with individual conductors inside and some filler material to maintain the round nature of this type of tray cable. Now this tray cable is constructed under UL 1277, and again, many people ask, what are the methods to strip this product? Well, there are a lot of methods out on the market to strip tray cable, and we'll look at a few of them here today and kind of talk about them a little bit. So, of course, the first method is the traditional knife method. Now, this happens to be a traditional electrician's knife. It has kind of a curved end on it that allows you to get it into the product. Once you get it in, you can kind of turn it, kind of lift up the edge, and then you can kind of slide it down. Now, the thing about this tray cable is you will be able to actually see from one end of it where the equipment grounding conductor is, and you can kind of follow that based on the ridge all the way up the actual tray cable. But it really doesn't matter, because what you're looking for is those little flat areas or those interstice areas that are between the individual conductors. Okay, so what you would do if this was hanging up, and you would take your knife, you would find one of those voids between the conductors, which you'll be able to tell by looking at it, get it in there, break the surface of the actual outer sheathing. Once you're below, you slowly will come down and follow the contour of the conductors down so you stay in that little void area. Another way to do it is you could actually look at the end and see where the equipment grounding conductor is, and you'll see a ridge here, and you follow that ridge all the way up to where you need to strip. Then you could come in with your knife just to the left, to the right of that equipment grounding conductor, and then slowly take your knife, like you see here, inside the actual sheathing, and then slowly pull it down as you follow the contour of the equipment grounding conductor. And that's one way to use a traditional knife. Now, you might have job sites that are knifeless job sites. So there are other products out there that are available to be able to do this. So let's look at another one. All right, this product here happens to be what's called a cable shear. Now, the ends are kind of pointed, and it's actually spring activated. And it would allow you to actually get to the end of this tray cable, put it up in here next to the equipment grounding conductor, and kind of ride that equipment grounding conductor on up the cable assembly, cutting your way as you go on up the cable assembly itself. And then once you get to the end, you'll score it, and you'll actually start cutting around, and then you remove it that way. So that's one way that you can do it using what we call cable shears. Now, the brand that we're showing you here is the same as I'm going to show you when I do a sample here. It's Nipex. Which is just a brand, but there are plenty other types of cable shears that are available that would do this application. Okay, it is a uniform thin wall, so it's not going to be that difficult to cut. You just want to make sure that you follow that equipment grounding conductor all the way up to the point where you want to stop, and then you're going to cut around and cut off the actual sheathing, exposing the inner conductors. So this is another way to do it with cable shears. Another method to do it is what we call a hook bill. Now this hook bill right here, as you can see in the picture right there, that is a really sharp point. Now that sharp point will plunge into the actual sheathing, and again, you want to follow the equipment grounding conductor up. Right next to it, you'll see where kind of the contour of it. Plunge it in right there where you want to stop, where you want to remove your sheathing down. Plunge it in there just below the surface, and then you just simply pull it and follow the contour of the equipment grounding conductor. And what that's going to do is that's going to strip it on down, and when you get back up here, you're going to make a cut, and then you just can simply cut around it to remove the actual sheathing. And that's one way to do it. This is a very popular tool. There's many of them available like this that actually have the tight hook bill on the end that allows you to penetrate in the sheathing and then pull it down the sheathing, again, following the contour of the equipment grounding conductor. All right. Another product that's available on the market are, depending on the size of your tray cable, are these rotary style. Now you set the depth on the rotary, and you put it in what's called a support binder, which you see right up here. And that support binder holds the cable in place. and then you set the depth based on the depth of your tray cable's sheathing. And then you put it on and you turn it on and you just simply let it rotary zip, if you will, its way on down, following again the contour of the equipment grounding conductor until you get to the end. Got to remember that UL 1277 allows for both an insulated or a bare equipment grounding conductor. So that's why we're trying to do all of this as close as we can to the equipment grounding conductor. Okay, so in this case, they're insulated equipment grounding conductor, so that's just added benefit. Now, that is one method to do, but now this product here is very limited in size, so you might only be able to do that up to maybe a 1 gauge, or 2 gauge, or maybe even up to a 1/0 or 2/0 type tray cable with the individual conductors. So that is going to be pretty limited with this type of product. But there are plenty of rotary style cutters. Just remember that you want to set the depth no more than the actual thickness of this sheathing on the tray cable when you're using a product like that. All right, the next product that we're looking at is a little fancier. Okay, so this product right here is quite fancy. It actually hooks onto the end of the tray cable and ratchets down and slowly cuts the actual jacket all the way down to get the point where you need to be. And then you take the tool and you turn it the other way, which is perpendicular to the actual cable, and then it cuts it all the way around, as you see here in the graphic. Simply start at the end, cut down, and then turn it and you cut around. Now, a little better close-up view of this type of product so that you can kind of see what we're talking about. Again, this is also a Knipex product. Again, there are other cable cutters out there on the market. This is just one of them. All right, now this is a pretty stout tray cable here. Now, this is a 4-conductor with equipment ground. And so it's pretty stout. It contains 250 kc mil, 4 of them in this product. Okay, and this is copper. This product would simply hook onto the end, and it rides along the actual cable with the contour of the conductors, and it simply cuts it on down at that uniform thickness. So there's little chance of damaging the inner conductors. This is a neat tool, a bit expensive. This is going to be anywhere from the $200 to $300 range, but it's nice to have if you're doing a lot of this. Again, my preferred method is the next method that we're going to show you. And that method is a simple flat front hook bill. Now this is product I actually have right here, and what I do with this is, and I don't know if you'll see a picture of it, and I'll show you kind of a larger view of this before I give you a sample, is here's what it looks like. It's a much larger. You'll see that it has, and I'll bring the picture up closer, as you see, it has a little flat area on the front, as you can see up in the graphic up here, and that's the part that I use to actually run along the conductors inside without any risk of damaging them. Okay, so now I'm going to show you how we plunge cut with this product. Now this is a nice product because the blade doesn't have a point. The cutting material is all in here, so you don't have to worry about one sharp point. Again, a knife works fine, but this product can be used over and over again and is with good, reliable accuracy. So let's come on back to me, and I'll show you how to do this. So when I take a cable like this, it might be hanging from above and I'm coming down, is what I do is, again, I find the equipment grounding conductor. If this was hanging above, and if you can see it, it's right here, and I can tell that it follows up the contour. So I follow up the contour to about right here, and what I do is I take this product here and I plunge it in to get just below the jacket. So now it's just below the jacket. So if this was hanging up, at that point, I then simply pull just like this, and I let it come down and follow the contour. Now, the good thing about this is it has that glide on it. So it's going to glide on anything that's underneath the cutting blade, so you don't risk damaging the conductors. So I'm going to slide it on down until I get to the end. I simply pull it out like that. So now all of the conductors are exposed all the way up to the point where I made the plunge. Now, when I've got it exposed like this, it's pretty simple to then take the same tool and make a cut here, and then you can start cutting around the actual jacket. And that's what I do when I make a cut around it. So you just cut all the way around it. Another unique way to do this is with those shears. Once you pull it back, you can actually start snipping around it with cable shears if you want. If you have a knife and you can do it real lightly, you can just score it, and if you score it around with a knife, not going below the sheathing, and you score it around, then it becomes easier. Now this one's hard to do it. It's not a traditional knife. But once you score it around, then you can it'll start to bend a little easier. And then you can just simply follow the score around until you get to where you need to be. And as you can see, you just start taking off the product. So those are multiple ways to remove thin wall cable. It's not difficult. You can use a knife, you can use a hook, you can use this type. You can get fancy and get some of those devices that actually clamp on and have a rotary bit that actually scores it down, but it's really not necessary. Really a good protective hook bill with a slide on the end of this. Again, there's many of these available, and they're available. This is a Nipex model, but that's what you're looking for. You don't want to risk cutting the conductors. And as you can see here, I actually followed the contour with my cut, as you can see here, of the equipment grounding conductor all the way down. See how I did that? That way I didn't risk damaging any of the conductors. And that's the importance. You can see the end, follow it, and feel all the way up so that you know that when you start to plunge in it, that you're going to plunge in it right next to the equipment ground, and then just slowly let it follow the contour of that equipment ground till you get to the bottom, and then you're ready to just simply take the product out and cut around the top, and you're done with it. Hopefully I've been able to explain a little easier for you how to strip uniform thin wall tray cable here at Encore Wire. If you have any questions, feel free to contact us at codes, that's C-O-D-E-S, at EncoreWire.com. We'd be more than happy to answer any technical questions you might have on any of the products that Encore Wire produces. Thanks again for watching, and have a blessed day.